Hello, salam, shalom, namaste, sat sri akal, aloha, hola, ciao, bonjour, buna, and privyet. It's really, really good to be with you again. And I'm so excited that we have with us Agnese, who's a productivity specialist. I'm so excited for what we're going to be talking about today. Agnese, welcome.
Hi, and thank you very much for having me. I'm so glad to see more and more platforms that want to bring our attention to important aspects in our lives. So, we can evolve and grow stronger and wiser. So thank you for creating this and for your continuous work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sure. And also the same to you because you're doing such important work. We are all about making change fun and easy, making life more fun and easy on this show. And definitely when we think about how to make our lives more fun and easy, productivity is a huge aspect of that formula. So I'm like really looking forward to our conversation.
Great. Me too. Can't wait. Let's
Um,
dig right in.
yes. So please, will you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Mhm, of course. So uh, I'm a certified productivity specialist and time management expert with a professional background in quality management and empowerment coaching as well. So what I have done is combined my passion for organizing and turned it into my mission, helping working women get more productive in life and business so they could really gain the time freedom they deserve. And so this is exactly what we do in my less is more coaching environment. So through structure and systems and processes that bring results, we scale in productivity and therefore in time freedom.
Nice. I love the idea of having more time freedom. Because ultimately
Right.
time is our most precious resource. It's like
Mm,
something that we can never get
yes,
back, right? So
exactly.
amazing.
Yes.
Mm,
And that's the common problem for so many, that we just want more than 24 hours in a day.
yeah,
We want to be able to fit in all our ambitions in
yeah.
that time frame. But unfortunately, we all have as much as there is, we can't just create more. But in my mentorship, I talk a lot about expanding time, and you can truly expand the time if you follow the steps, if you do the work, if you're willing to do it. You will never create more minutes in the day or more hours, but for you personally to achieve more, you can actually expand time. And that means you just do important work without getting overworked and overwhelmed and constantly stressed, which happens when we try to fit in everything in
That's
in a day or two.
yeah. That is
Mm-hmm.
such an excellent point, and I love the idea of expanding time for yourself. Can you tell me a little bit more about like the problem that you see people struggling with in general because of which they're not
Mm-hmm.
able to experience this sense of expanded time and so forth?
Yeah, it's it's that reason that we're not very good at prioritizing. And so we think that everything is important and everything is urgent.
Mm,
And I would say that this is really, like, this day and age, the big problem that we all have, because with all of the notifications that come our way, with all of those distractions, we see our phone blinging constantly, right? We see the email notifications on the screen somewhere, and we think, oh yeah, I have this email. It's just going to take a second. And what that second does, it takes your focus away from the work you're doing, and it goes completely off.
Yeah.
And then you need to take time to get back into that focus. And
Mm.
this is where we waste the time the most,
Ah,
right?
interesting. Interesting. So you really think this is where we waste? Because I know I have seen some studies that talk
Mhm.
about how even if you are just taking like you think a few seconds or a minute to sort of shift your focus to something else, like if a phone call comes or you pay attention to a notification that just pops up on your phone. I've definitely seen research that shows that it takes more than just that minute or just a few seconds that you take to do that to actually get back in the flow of whatever other tasks
Yes,
you were doing. So for
yes.
sure you're losing time, and you're saying this is actually the big. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode. Hope you're getting value out of it. For your information, this episode has been sponsored by the Happiness 101 program. Are you a change maker, coach, trainer, or healer? Are chains of fear holding you back from making the impact and income you desire? Using a unique combination of positive psychology and the spiritual wisdom of our most effective change makers, the Happiness 101 program helps you break through your limiting beliefs and manifest the abundance and success you desire with fun and ease. Interested? Book a free Happiness 101 exploration call with me, your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Just use my online calendar link in the show notes. Now, back to the show. The big
Yeah.
reason we lose.
I believe that maybe the research that you're talking about, I think it was that we get distracted every 11 minutes or something. And that's huge. Like
Yeah,
imagine there's that many hours in a day. And if
yeah.
we can't focus enough to get important things done, how we can scale, how can we grow, how we can like evolve in business or whatever it is that you're doing, right? So we really need to be able to maintain that focus.
Yeah.
And of course, it might sound, yes, it's easy to say, but it's hard to do. But there are things that you can practice, routines that you can implement to actually be more focused and
Mm,
be more attentive on things that are important.
yeah.
But how do we get there? It,
Yeah.
it all really starts with clarity,
Mm,
because we will never be able to plan everything by seconds and follow that plan as well,
yeah.
because life gets in the way and it's normal. It happens. We will not be able to prioritize well if we don't know what we want.
Mm,
So the clarity is really the starting point. What is it that you want?
yeah.
And I sometimes ask women when they reach out, like I would tell them, well, if I give you now, if I have a magic wand, and I give you now 4 extra hours every day,
Mm,
and now just imagine, in ideal world, you reach the same success, you have you're satisfied, everything works well, but you have extra hours, 4 hours. And usually, what happens is that they don't know what they would do with that time. So then why do you need it? What are the reasons? There is no clarity. And then this is the first that we need to work through to really get there. Because after that, focusing is that much easier. Prioritizing is that much easier because you know exactly what you want.
that is so interesting. Like if you had asked me what I would do with 4 extra hours, I think for me, until you sort of clarified what you were meaning, immediately I had like several different ideas popping into my mind. I could do this, I could do that, I could do that. But I realized that what you were saying is no, like just the fact that I have so many ideas about what I could do, that's actually part of the lack of clarity. I need to be like, no, this is what I must do, I need to do, I would love
Mm,
most to do.
mhm.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not that we have to choose one thing and follow it. No, absolutely not. You can be multi-passionate and you can have several directions that you're really, really passionate about. There's nothing wrong with it. But to have million things going on,
Mm.
that's a bit distracting.
Yes. Yeah, that is so true. And I was just realizing that what you're saying applies to us, even like multitasking in context of all the different work related things that we need to do. So
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
I remember um when I was interning with in my very first job, I suppose,
Yeah.
that I was doing, um, this was like one of the things that my coach at that time that I was interning with was teaching me. She was like, Samia, you need to let me know when you're working on something, and um, and then I won't disturb you until you're done with the task. Because like I was thinking that, whenever my coach tries to contact me or connect with me, I should just get back to them right away. And she was like, no, if you're actually working on something and I try to connect with you, it'll distract you from what you're doing. And then, it'll take you more time to do that. So I'd much
Yeah.
rather that you just let me know, this is what I'm working on, this is how much time I think I need for it. And so then I will not disturb you in that period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But, unfortunately, multitasking is being praised as
Mhm.
something fabulous that you're doing. You're
Yeah.
multitasking. Yes, that's great. And I've been in that position as well. So I would work myself, overwork, and just get
Mhm.
exhausted because of that. But I would be praised for it. And it's happening in our culture. We don't see multitasking as anything bad. We see it as something great. You can
Yeah.
talk on the phone and write an email. Awesome. We need you. Sign me up. Exactly. Unfortunately, it's like this. Yeah,
It's
but this is why we talk. This is why I personally am so passionate about productivity, because really it puts things into a much better balance, you
mm,
know. And if we talk about like where do we start, like there are four productivity fundamentals that we all need to take into consideration, because we just can't work, reach for some imagined success without taking care of things like our sleep,
uh,
our diet,
mhm,
exercise, so the body movement, and also our environment. Because if we don't sleep enough, we wake up exhausted.
mm,
We can't talk about focus then,
yeah.
right? We can't really talk about productive work. So it all goes kind of hand in hand. It's
Yes.
not just about downloading an app, trying to manage your life from one app. And yes, my time management is on spot on. It's not that, because it starts from you. How well are you eating? Are you actually moving your body? Because we need all of those happy hormones, and our body needs to be healthy enough to let us focus and to let us manage and plan that much better. And it is what it is. Do we want to accept it or no? It's the truth.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh. And I so appreciate you taking this sort of holistic perspective on what it
Mm.
really takes for us to be able to be productive. I know what you're talking about, especially in the context of sleep. I had this experience just a few weeks ago where there was a shift in my work schedule. And then of course we also in the US we have, this change in time that we happen with daylight
Yes.
savings time and so forth. And so that also sort of threw me off a little bit. And I actually found myself only getting like 5, 6 hours of sleep a night. And optimally, like for me personally, I find that I need more like 8 to 9 hours of sleep. And
Yeah.
so after like a few weeks of only getting 5 to 6 hours of sleep, I was like seriously sleep deprived. And it
Yeah.
was for sure impacting everything that I was doing, impacting my focus, impacting my mood. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
think like for me, that that impact on my mood was something that I felt the most because, as a happiness expert, I'm like generally a pretty happy person, and I put in a lot of, to maintain and create a happy mood. It's a choice that we have to make, and we have to, manage our thoughts and our emotions and just what we're doing, and all of that. And I couldn't
Yeah.
make those choices that I knew would help me to create and maintain a positive mood. I was just way too
Mm-hmm.
sleepy.
Yes, exactly. And I so appreciate you saying that because so many of us experience it, but we don't link it together with how we actually feel, because we're like 4 hours, it's enough for me. And maybe for some people it truly is. It is possible. For me, I need like 8 to 10 hours. And
Mhm.
then I'm my best. Then I am at my optimal level and I can truly do things um, from the best place.
Yeah.
Um, and the fourth fundamental that I was saying about the environment, how
Yes.
much that affects our work as well.
Mhm.
And that's what I said at the beginning, that people usually think when I talk about time management and productivity, it's very technical. You schedule, you plan, you make tables, and you do this and that, but it's actually, that's the other part of it. First, it's those fundamentals and clarity
Mhm.
and what we need to do to create that optimal environment. Because
Yes.
while we can how we can truly thrive, what
Yes.
are the things that are in our office, right? Maybe we don't like the photo frame is kind of old on our desk and it keeps bugging us and we don't even notice it, but it constantly takes our attention away. Maybe we eat while we work,
Yeah.
or it could be anything. Maybe dog barking outside our window. So
Mm.
many things affect us.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You gave some really brilliant examples, like the idea of that photograph that's bothering you. Oh, that made me think about one of the sayings that one of my coaches, it's his favorite saying. And basically, I might not get it exactly right, but it's basically something like every mess is a lock on the gate of abundance in your life. Meaning, and what he means by it, just in case I didn't get it exactly right, he's like literally, you're preventing abundance from coming into your life with every mess that is present in your life and that you don't take the time to clean up, as soon
Right,
as you can.
right.
And the example with like, oh, here's this photo frame. There's something about it that bothers me and I don't deal with it. And so it just keeps intruding into my
Yeah,
consciousness. And like you were saying, every
yeah,
time something distracts me, it's not just that moment in which I notice the frame. It's like it unleashes this whole cycle, making me less
yeah.
productive.
Absolutely. And I'm very big on decluttering and doing it consistently. So
Yeah.
if something is bothering you, because for me, I know when I clean my closet, I breathe more lightly. It kind of
Mhm.
like takes the weight off. And
Yeah.
so imagine if your working desk has piles of paper, peanuts there, water here, and it's kind of like a big mess, then it reflects on the mood, on your focus, because I always say that like the mess on your desk creates mess in your head, and also vice versa. So we really need to start somewhere. And to clear the mess in our heads, it's much harder than clear the mess on our desks and our in our environment. So this is very easy place where to start.
Mm,
Start by your actual environment to create some positive change. Clean that drawer. Do you really need all of those things that are inside? Probably not. Take the time to do it, and notice how much different you feel after it,
yes.
right?
Yes. Yes. And maybe to just create some time in your life to do this kind of cleanup, as it were,
Yeah.
on a regular basis, because I, oh my gosh, you just made me think about like another huge lesson that I've learned in my life about, it's actually a law in the universe that everything will tend to move towards chaos unless we put in specific energy to create organization. And so even if
Yeah.
you clean your desk, let's say, um, it will, unless you put in effort on a regular basis to maintain its neatness and its
Yes.
cleanness, it will keep getting messy over time.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And it's so true. Yes. And I'm glad that you said it, because, the mess on our desk is one thing, but
Yeah.
so many of us are working from our laptops, our phones,
Mhm.
right? Especially nowadays, you only need a Wi-Fi and a device, right? To create change. And what we do is we create mess there as well. How
Right.
many photos do we have, right? How many folders do we have? Are they organized? Because you know what happens if we need to find something, it takes so much more time to find the things that we need if unless we know where it is,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
if our things are organized, then we waste less of a time trying to find them because we know where they are. It takes a
Yeah.
second. But
Yeah.
if we can't, then we're like, oh, I have this pile of paper here. We're going through it. We have a folder on it, which is like a junk folder that everything goes in there. And then we go through that. It's difficult, and we make it difficult for ourselves. It's
Mm.
our responsibility because no one else created that folder and no one else created that mess. It was us.
That's right. Oh my gosh. You just made me think about something else that happened.
I like that I make you think.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, so this was, I think, maybe 3 years ago. I was having major problems with, I had a MacBook Pro at that time, and it was just having all kinds of bugs. And I thought it was just because it was so old, because I'd had it at that point in time for a good maybe 7, 8 years. So I actually got a new MacBook Pro, double the memory, and supposed to have like a 10-hour battery life, and it was just the specs on it were like way, way, way better than my previous MacBook Pro and so forth. But and then I was so excited to use it. And then when I got it, it had this like feature of you could just over Wi-Fi connect your old MacBook Pro with the new one and would just transfer all the data.
Yep.
And it was like so easy to do that. And at first I was like super happy that it happened, the transition happened so smoothly. But then it was like really strange and annoying because my brand new MacBook Pro started to have a lot of problems as well. And I was like, what in the world is going on? And turns out that when I transferred all the data, it was like so easy to do, but it actually transferred with it like all these like buggy files that were in the old computer and that I didn't realize were causing the problem. And so like literally what I had to do was like just wipe the entire disk clean, of the new MacBook Pro. And then, I manually one by one transferred the files that I actually
Yes.
needed into the
Yeah.
new.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we live and we learn, and that's great that we have these experiences that we can truly learn from.
Yeah.
um, and it's also great that we have some support or some outside force that can say,
Mhm.
maybe this is not how you do it, or maybe you want to try something else, without pushing or anything, but just giving like a wise advice to just
Yeah.
look at things differently, because
Mm,
we're not experts at everything and we shouldn't be. Why? You know? But if,
right.
and that's why the coaching and the support that you're doing is so useful, because it helps so much, right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. And,
And
just sort of thinking again about it from the perspective of like the deck example, it's like I'm not a tech expert. I'm not a computer expert. So like when I run into trouble with my computer, I go get help. And I don't think
yeah,
that's
there we
strange.
go.
I don't hesitate to do it, right? And so why not do that in other areas of our life when we run
Yes.
into trouble?
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah. Because, we get so stuck in our ways, in
Yeah.
our routines, that it's not easy to change it by ourselves, even
Mm,
if we wanted to,
yes.
because we're so used to how we do things, right? We're so used to our habits and our routines that if somebody would come in and say, maybe you should eliminate this or that, you're like, but I've been doing this for years, you know? So it's kind of like, it gives you a little bit different perspective on things. And that's what's great about it. That's what's great.
That's so true. That's so true. And my gosh, okay, you made me think about another saying that is actually also one of my favorite sayings. And it's basically this idea of what you focus on expands. And I find that that's actually one of the biggest benefits of having a coach help you, or whoever you decide to bring in to help you, but
Yeah,
especially like in a coaching context, because when you start working with a coach, there's a purpose to why you're doing it. You're bringing focus to a certain area of your life,
mm-hmm.
a certain struggle that you're dealing with, and you want to create solution, and resolve that problem. And so you're like actually in a very conscious way bringing focus onto it.
Yes.
And so
Yeah,
when you begin to focus on the problem and on creating the solution, then that is when you can see that expansion happening in your life, that
absolutely.
expansion of your understanding of the problem, your understanding of the solution, and the actual
Mm-hmm.
solution emerging.
Yes, totally. And sometimes it also happens that our experiences with coaching or with like group support that we're in is not the most pleasant ones. But what I can tell you is that we can always learn from them
Mm,
either way.
yeah.
Either way, it's a lesson. We can take something out of it, because I personally also have had some experiences, not so pleasant ones, where I was maybe disappointed and not entirely happy. But that's again something that I need to work on, and
Mm,
and then need to analyze just a little bit to see why this thing triggered me, what happened, and
yeah.
how I can improve them, right?
Mhm.
But if that experience wouldn't happen, how would I know? I would never question anything,
Yes.
right?
That is very true. That is very true. I
Mm,
mean,
yeah.
we have, I mean, every person has their own experience and things that work for them, things that don't. I know in the context of coaching, for example, coaches have had certain experiences, and based on, certain training that they have and so forth, they have a certain perspective on how to make things work and what they teach their students. And the approach of a particular coach may not exactly work for you. That doesn't mean that the approach in itself is wrong. It's just maybe not the right fit for you. And like you said, Agnese, you can still learn from that. You can still learn from that. That is a really excellent.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the beauty of it, you
Yeah.
know. And it actually it goes hand in hand with time management as well, because I some time ago already I discovered this author and researcher, Nir Eyal, and he's just amazing. He wrote books and on specifically on time management, and he said time management is pain management. And it struck me like it felt like, oh my God, he just confirmed what I've been saying and what I've been thinking. um, because we seek distraction to avoid discomfort,
Mm,
and this is why we are not able to focus on things and manage our time as best as we normally would,
right.
because we have a task in front of us, and it's kind of like maybe feeling the tax bill, we're like, maybe I'm going to do it tomorrow. Procrastination creeps in, right? And your time management goes out the window, right? Your planning, your scheduling, nothing works,
Yeah.
because actually we need to look inside ourselves. We need to do that research deeper to understand why this triggers me,
Mm,
why I want to avoid this, why is this creating discomfort for me, what's happening.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
That is so wise. That is so wise. Ah,
Yeah, so
actually,
working on
oh,
that pain. Yeah.
yeah, because it also goes back to the point you were making earlier about how important it is for us to have clarity. And the
Mm-hmm.
fact is that so many of us, because we are trying to avoid certain kind of pain or certain discomfort, it actually prevents us from, number one, having the clarity about what we really need to do,
Mm.
solve the big problems in our life or achieve the goals that we want, because we're so focused on just avoiding the pain or the discomfort
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
being focused on taking the action that will actually move us forward, you know?
Yes, you're absolutely right. So many of us want that clarity, but
Yeah.
how many of us have actually sat down with a piece of paper and wrote down our ideas of what is it that we want?
Yeah.
We don't want to. We think we're wasting our time,
Yeah.
but it's actually how we're gonna gain time in the long run when we truly know what we want. And it's so fascinating.
Yes.
And this is why the coaching is so useful in this
Mm,
case, because we have somebody that can keep us accountable. We have support that is knowledgeable and resourceful, in the areas that we might be lacking in.
yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. It's great. It helps to change our habits. That is just such a fundamental of how we can change our life, right?
Yes. Oh my
Totally.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. I, oh my. Okay. You just brought up so many great points. And I think we'll just have to bring you back for a second episode because we are running out
Sure.
of time for now. Any last
All
words
right.
to share for right now?
Yes. So what I would like to say to everyone, and everyone who is working and maybe wearing many hats in the household, at work, and just feeling like they need more time, just remember that you are in charge.
Hmm.
Time is not in charge of you. You are in charge of it. And the help and support is all around us, if only we're willing to open our eyes and see it. And of course, open our hearts to receive it, because we also need to be willing to receive,
Mm,
right? So I wish everyone to be more open-minded and seek support whenever you feel like you need it.
mm. Ah, See, you just dropped another amazing pearl of wisdom that I'm like, oh, need more time to dig into this. So we will at another time do so. And in the meantime, I just wanted to remind all of you who are listening right now to make sure to check the show notes because we'll be adding Agnesi's links in there so you can connect with her and reach out to her for the support that you need. Um, and yeah, until we connect next time, I just wish you lots and lots of peace and joy.